Okay, quick introduction. My name is Matthew Stallman. I've been playing guitar for 27 years. I've been a worship musician for about 15, and I've been teaching for about 5 years. This kind of is a culmination of all the questions that I've been asked over the years about chords and modes and chord shapes and diagrams. I never got into teaching diagrams because it seems so limited to me. So I always kind of tried to teach the concept of what a chord actually is, and then you can make up your own diagrams. So it starts with this grid here. You can see, moving my mouse pointer over. It's just a square grid. This is usually how I draw it out on paper, and I just start simply with C. It's the easiest thing for everyone to remember. No sharps or flats, and I fill in the rest of the C major scale. Now you notice there's all these little gaps in between here, and these will come into play in the next slide. You'll see why I do that. I leave those there so that I can draw in the whole steps and half steps, because this is really the most important part of your scale is understanding the concept of the distances, for lack of a better word, between each note. And this is what sets up all your harmony. In here between C and D, we have a whole step, which makes D a major second in reference to C. If this was a half step, D would obviously be a minor second. I know this is kind of beginner level stuff, but for the people who aren't quite there yet, I just wanted to include it really quick. So this pattern, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, is extremely important. And then that one, basically, that's our major scale, but it's also the one scale or the Ionian mode. And I always end up numbering them as well, because numbering just helps for scale degrees later on. So just simply numbering them, 1 through 8, C to the octave. And then that is how we get our first chord triad. It's just the root, the third, and the fifth of your scale. If you want to add the seventh in there, same concept, root, third, fifth, and seventh. This would be a seventh chord. We're putting the seventh note of the scale into it. Now, the next scale in the series, the next mode, is simply produced when we, instead of starting on C, we slide everything over, we start on D. Everything shifts with it. The whole step, half step pattern has shifted, the notes have shifted, but the notes completely remain the same. We're just starting and ending on a different point. Instead of C to C, we're going D to D. That is the 2 scale. That's the Dorian mode. And now you can see also this half step, whole step pattern has shifted with it. Now it's whole, half, whole, 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 half, whole. Very important, because now we set up some different intervals. For instance, between D and E on the C major scale, we have a whole step, making this a major third in reference to C. Now, between E and F, 2 and 3, we now have a half step. So F is a minor third in reference to D. Very important to remember that. And then as we move through, it's the same thing. To get the Phrygian mode, we shift one more time. Now we're starting our scale and ending our scale from the 3rd degree, and so on and so forth. Through the Lydian mode, now we're on the 4th degree. Through the Mixolydian mode, we start on the 5th degree. The Aeolian mode starts on the 6th degree. So you can see up here, A is the 6th of the Ionian mode, and Aeolian, we're starting on that and ending on that. And then we end up in the Locrian mode. And that's pretty much the end, because if we do this one more time, we're back to Ionian, but nobody ever does that. So let's get rid of that one. So you'll notice here, the Roman numerals are important too. I have the Roman numerals capital for Ionian, Lydian, and Mixolydian, and I have them lowercase for Dorian, Phrygian, Aeolian, and Locrian. That signifies the majors and the minors. You'll see this a lot when these chords or scales are written out, and that's why they do that. Now, again, we highlight our root, third, and fifth, and this is how we get all the chords in a particular key. And if you lay any of these out on the fretboard, you'll start making some of the more common shapes that you're familiar with. But this is how they're done. Each mode produces a specific chord and there's 7 possibilities in every key because there's 7 notes in each key. So you get 7 chords, and they're always major, minor, minor, major, major, minor. And this one's actually, it's a minor, but it's a half diminished chord. Because if you look here, in between C and E on the 1 chord, you have a major third, and in between E and G, you have a half step and a whole step, making a minor third. So a major chord is a major third and a minor third. A minor chord is a minor third between the first and the third note of the chord, or I'm sorry, the first and third, and it's a major third between the third and the fifth. If you go down here to the Locrian mode, you have a minor third and a minor third. It's the only time in major scale harmony that this happens, and that produces a diminished 5th chord. Now again, if we want to add the 7ths to these, you just play the 7th note of the scale along with the basic triad. Now this is obviously written in C. We could do this in any key. If we wanted to do this in G, we just fill in the notes of G. And it's the same concept. We have G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G now. And it's the same pattern. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And everything slides over just like it did in C. The Dorian mode starts from the 2nd degree, Phrygian starts from the 3rd, and so on and so forth. I mean, we could put numbers in here. It wouldn't matter. As long as the numbers stay the same, you know, it doesn't matter what you put in here as long as you have these whole step, half step patterns represented properly, you will get the right chord. I mean, obviously we want to visualize this with letters. It's a little bit easier, but that is chords in a nutshell. That's the most boiled down method that I've come up with in my teaching. You just start with your major scale, and you go through each degree to create all of your modes, and then the root 3rd and 5th of each one creates the chord, and you can add the 7th if you want to for those color tones. There is a way to make jazz chords, an easy way to visualize that as well. I'll get to that in another video. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to email me. Again, that is atg.sarasota@gmail.com. And I hope this shedded some light on chords for you. Thanks for watching.